Fisher River Cree Nation, a vibrant and progressive First Nation community set in the heart of Manitoba's Interlake region, committed to a comprehensive long-term strategy of enriching the lives of its community members through responsive and accountable governance, forward-thinking human resource development, and sustainable economic growth.
Wache, I just want to welcome you to Fisher River Cree Nation. We're located in the central part of the Interlake region of Manitoba. About 2,000 members reside in the community. We originate from the Norway House Cree Nation over 145 years ago. We settled shortly after the signing of Treaty 5 along the west side of Lake Winnipeg to the present-day location of what we call Fisher River Cree Nation. What good governance has brought to the community is the ability to negotiate with Canada. Part of our self-government initiative, we've engaged Canada in discussions now on development of a self-government agreement, or as we term it now, a reconciliation agreement.
The reconciliation process, as I've come to understand it, is to approach our discussions with governments, with Canada, around addressing our colonial histories, how we've been impacted, and how we like to begin a new relationship, and coming forward with a process that engages us and offers to our community opportunities for beginning at a new level of self-governance, but only in a process that is respectful. So the historic relationship needs to be addressed, but we want to move forward quickly because our young people are waiting. Our marginalization economically and politically has impacted our community. And it's a difficult process, and we have a lot of work to do, but we continue to work in good faith, and our community, I think, is ready to move forward.
We're also developing what we term our election act, how we elect members to leadership in the community. Then we also have our financial management act, which forms one of the blocks of our reconciliation agreement with Canada. We're one of the first communities also that are under what they call now the 10-year grant program with Canada. And we've also been, I guess, historically, almost 20-some years under what we call a financial flexible agreement with Canada, which has worked quite well for the community.
And that's basically made available to us based on the stability and the continuity of our leadership, the good governance that's been instituted for many years in our community, participation that the leadership have by way of engaging community members through various groups, focus groups, various boards. So good governance is always key to anything that we do, and hats off to a lot of the managers who provide the support required to move their dreams forward.
A proven track record of sound management practices has afforded Fisher River Cree Nation the ability to invest in an ambitious infrastructure program that enhances the lives of every community member.
We now have a new high school for our children. We also have the largest solar farm in Manitoba. Currently, it's a 1 megawatt, which will power approximately 350 units. We also are the largest geothermal community in the province of Manitoba. So we're very supportive of green energy initiatives, and we're looking at other projects for the future, which will create more jobs for our members and also create more sources of revenue for the community.
We want to continue expanding our businesses in areas of being realistic, of being in a captive market. We're at the end of the road. We have no through traffic. So we have to be realistic of some of the economic adventures we get into based on our markets and some visitation from the neighboring communities securing our businesses.
A focus on strategic and sustainable economic development has also been made possible thanks to a commitment to financial accountability and the ability to build lasting partnerships.
The Fisher River Cree Nation became a certified community with the Financial Management Board almost 3 years ago, and since that time we were able to access capital funds through the First Nation Finance Authority. It was a part of an overall plan for economic development creation for our members. Through the funding that became available to us, we were able to create a number of business entities in the community, which is currently managed by the FRED Corporation, the Fisher River Economic Development Corporation.
From an economic development perspective, it's imperative that we have a greater footprint and participation in the economy through the resourcing of the lands, whether it be through mining, forestry, tourism, agriculture, fishing. We don't want to be opposing development that's going on and around us, but we don't want to be left alone either. Opening communication and having equal access to these resources will be beneficial to everybody in Manitoba, not just Fisher River. We contribute to this economy and we want to continue to do that. So I assure you, our community, under our leadership of our chief and council and our various committees and groups and our elders, are open for business, and we will avail ourselves to meaningful partnerships, both on and off reserve, with anybody who wants to do business with us.
We're big on sharing what we have, and we have shared everything from our governance initiatives to our economic development opportunity initiatives with other First Nations in Manitoba and also across the country. And we're very big on forming alliances with communities that are very proactive in business development, and also with the federal and provincial governments in creating working opportunities for the Fisher River Cree Nation.
Fisher River Cree Nation is proud to maintain a strong connection to its heritage and culture through community events and cultural initiatives aimed at promoting Cree traditions and preserving the Cree language.
Our attempt to maintain a process of identity is based largely on language and culture. Well, we have had a meeting in the community recently around the issue of language in our community, because it's obvious in the past 30, 40 years, the impact of technology has deteriorated the use of our own language, of reflecting on our own culture, our history. So our value systems need to be addressed, and that's best done in our language. We want to find the good life. There are attempts now to bring together all the agencies in the community and have the management of those agencies understand our intent. We need now to work with the younger people, and I'm hoping we can engage them in at least learning about our history, about our language, and about our potential as a community.
For Fisher River Cree Nation, maintaining a strong and independent community also means assuming responsibility for the management of its natural resources and traditional industries.
We're looking at taking over the management of our lands in the community. The people have been harvesting the resources of the area since the settlement of the community. Our community is involved heavily with the commercial fishery industry in Manitoba.
Fishing is going to be paramount for us going forward. We need to sustain that industry. We've got the backing of the community. Obviously, we have close to 100 quotas that we have to protect. That's a significant amount of jobs, 150 jobs that we would lose if the fishing industry was to go by the wayside. So the leadership, our knowledge keepers, which is our elders group, have been very adamant that we move forward in protecting and sustaining that industry.
The most valuable resource of any community is its people, and Fisher River Cree Nation is going to great lengths to prepare its members for the employment opportunities of the present and the future.
One of our greatest assets is our human resource, so we're looking at getting more involved with our other entities in education and within human resource program development itself by looking at job readiness through our social programming for the unemployed to make sure they have the necessary skills for employment that arise both on and off reserve. We're encouraging our people to go into the trades that are needed if you're wanting to work in and around close to home. This is what's available. This is the skill set you need. We also look at the job markets both in Manitoba and throughout Canada, and we'll assist anybody if they wanted the proper training to seek those employments, because we're realistic. Not everybody's going to work at home because it's a matter of supply and demand, and half of our population is off reserve, and a good majority of them are gainfully employed in skilled trades throughout Manitoba and Canada.
For communities, I believe what you have to have for good governance is basically your financial structures in place, your policies, hiring practices for your nation, also having the ability to basically step back and allow boards, committees to oversee operations in your community. The structure of Fisher River Cree Nation is probably different than a lot of communities. What we do, we've mandated various entities to create boards which help govern the entities such as education, health services, and so on. But we move towards political separation from the entities and the government of Fisher River. The end goal for the Fisher River Cree Nation is to create, of course, good governance and financial accountability back to the Fisher River Cree Nation members, but we're also looking at creating wealth for the community so the community will become financially self-sufficient and financially independent at some point in the very near future.
A commitment to responsive and accountable governance, forward-thinking human resource development, and sustainable economic growth, enriching the lives of the members of one of Manitoba's most vibrant and progressive First Nation communities, Fisher River Cree Nation. To learn more, visit fisherriver.ca today.